everyone, and welcome to the podcast session of Financial Tips. Actually, this is not a normal episode session that you'll be seeing every week, but for this episode, we seek to review the 3 episodes that we first done and try and get more answers to the questions that people have thrown at us, because there are a bit concerns and questions as to how to do things with respect to the topics that we've brought out within the first 3 weeks. So this episode, or this podcast session as I might call it, seeks to revise or tackle the questions and concerns that people or the outside world have contacted us with, told us with, and with that way we try to come back and also help answer questions with regards to that. And I cannot do this alone. I have a special guest with me on this session. He is a good friend, he's a colleague, he's a well-known and resource person in the world of business. He actually has an MBA in Business and Development from Portsmouth University. Also, he has a degree in accounting from University of Ghana Business School. I may talk about a lot of credentials in relation to him, but I don't want to waste so much time. So, without much ado, I would like to introduce my special guest in the name of Dan Sewo Balasu. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you.
Welcome to Financial Tips.
There's some small corrections. There's an MSc in Business and Management from
My bad, ladies.
Yeah, from University of Portsmouth. Yeah, so
Sure.
I'm happy to be here.
Have you been watching Financial Tips on a regular basis?
Oh yeah, I upload it every day.
Actually, he's the mastermind behind Financial
I
Tips.
upload
I forgot to add that
I
section.
upload it every week, so I watch it.
All the things that you watch, he's the brain behind it. I mean, every single thing, from the lighting to the information to the presentation, everything. He helps with the coordination and the organization of it. So that is what we seek to do. So this session seeks to answer some of the questions and comments in relation to the previous episodes that we've done in previous weeks, and also give people at least a bit of comfort in relation to the concerns that they raised about the topic. So we're going to start by each episode. So far we have 3 episodes on our pages. For those who haven't gotten the chance to watch, you can go to the CEO Project on Facebook at the CEO Project, and also on YouTube, the same at the CEO Project. And also don't forget to subscribe on our page. So without further ado, I'll just go and start with the first episode that we had on Financial Tips, which is attaining and managing business capital. It was quite a bit of an intrigue with the first episode, because many people were very optimistic of the results that was going to come by Financial Tips, because when the poster came out and all that, people were asking, what is Financial Tips? What is it going to entail? Let me see what these young guys are going to bring out. I mean, a lot of people were asking me what is going to be entailed in this show, and I just told them to just hang on and relax. So when the premiere came on the 8th of October, I mean, a lot of people just tuned in and we were very impressed. I mean, I had a lot of comments and reviews concerning that. And in as much as there were reviews as well, there were also questions relating to the topic. So we also seek to address these comments and these questions on this podcast session, and I'll have Sewo here to help me to answer these questions. So I'll take the first question in relation to episode 1 of Business Capital, and someone asked that, what about venture capital? What about venture capital? In the episode 1, I spoke about sources of finance for business capital, and I spoke about friends, I spoke about family, I spoke about financial institutions. So right now, somebody is asking me, what about venture capital? Is it also another positive source of attaining finance? So, what do you think?
It's another source of attaining finance, but I don't think it's something that's really common in Ghana or in Africa. Okay, I think maybe South Africa and Kenya and some other countries you find those things there, but it's not really common over here in Ghana. But I think the thing that people have to understand about venture capital and investors is that you have to know how to talk to the investor.
Sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
When it comes to maybe your parents or your family or friends, you can just say, oh bro, I have this business, it's this and this and this. But a venture capitalist or an investor will want more details.
Yes.
In terms of how the business will run, what's the profit, all those things. You have to actually know what you're doing inside out before you can actually say, okay, I'm going to seek for funding from a venture capitalist. Yes. And another thing, I remember I was in Portugal last year for something called EIA, and I spoke to someone, and he gave me an advice. It was like, you have to be careful about the number of people you put into your business in terms of finance, because everybody, if it's a loan, you probably pay back with investment.
Sure.
But if like someone is investing, the person will have a number of shares.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care, by the time you realize, people will have more shares than you.
Yes.
This is an advice I give to everybody, that make sure you still always have more shares or more ownership than everybody.
Yes.
Because I can sell 30% to you and 30% to another person and have 40%.
Yes.
And think I have the biggest share.
But it may not be so.
But if you go and buy the other person's 30%,
yes,
you own the company now.
Majority of it.
Or you own the business,
exactly.
and I don't own the business.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to be careful about going into venture capitalism and bringing more people into your business. For me personally, I think, I'm not a big fan of loans, honestly. I'm not a big fan. I feel like it's just, I asked someone this question. MTN floated shares recently, right?
Yes.
So you think MTN doesn't have the capacity to go for a loan?
No,
You can ask yourself that question. Do you think
so?
Yeah, MTN
You
have
don't
they have the capacity to go for a loan, but they actually floated shares. That's just like a train of thought people should think about. Why MTN didn't go for a loan, but actually floated shares and got money from it's money they wanted basically.
Exactly.
That's why they floated shares. Yes. So why didn't they go for a loan? So just a thought for you to think about, like for people to think about. That's one of the reasons why I have a whole lot of reasons why I'm not a big fan of loans. But let's go.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for buttressing this point for me. Let me buttress this point concerning venture capital. In as much as we have different ways of attaining capital, for venture capital, it's about you attaining funds from investors. So where you go and seek capital from people who already have the required or requisite funds that you need, you present your business to them in the form of business plan. You have to make sure you are prepared. In as much as he said, it's mostly the, in quote, elite people who often try the venture capital mode, and that has its pros and cons. He spoke about the fact that they may try asking you to transfer a share, be it big or small, to them, in as much as they also give you a bunch of the capital that you need. But you also have to look at the forward or the future implication of what you may do. People go too far or in such desperate modes to ask for capital without thinking about the implication of whatever percentage of capital they will be transferring to someone they don't really know. And if you go forward, if you don't really know someone so well, and the person doesn't have the same vision or the same mindset as you before starting your company or your business, it will get to a point where both of you will be at loggerheads and you'll be disagreeing on most things. And if there is no way of resolving or coinciding to finding a solution to both opinions or both directions the business has to go, then it will be a big stumbling block for both the investor and also the initial business owner. So venture capital, as we think, is also another option of attaining source of finance, but you have to know yourself. Because most people probably want to be an entrepreneur because they want to manage the business for in the long run. They have their own vision. They don't expect any other person to come and tell them what they are supposed to do or what direction they are supposed to go. So venture capital, I think, is something that I would never advise anyone not to go for venture capital. What I would say about venture capital is it comes down to you and what you want, and also how well you can work with someone, be it an investor, towards the growth of your business. So I'll go ahead and talk about the next question in relation to episode 1. The second question is, how much can you allocate to start up your business in relation to business capital? How much can you allocate for your startup capital? Can you say something about that? That's a tricky question, I should say, because you can't just say how much do I need to start up the capital. If you really watch the episode 1, I said it depends on the industry that you want to work with. So one thing that you need to do is research about the industry. Look at the scale at which you want to grow your business initially, because that will also give you an idea of how much you need to start. I might tell my friend here that he may need about 15,000 or 10,000 cedis to start his capital, depending on the kind of scale that he wants to start with. Someone will say, it's too small. I don't want to start on this note. I want to start with at least 30,000, which I feel will be realistic for me. So in relation to this question, it's quite subjective. It's quite very opinionated, because I cannot give you an exact amount for you to work on.
From my point of view, I think the answer to that question is start with what you have. You just need to start with what you have. Some of us, we wait to get enough money. There's nothing like enough money for a business. I don't personally. I don't think you have. There's something like, oh, this is enough money.
It doesn't exist that way.
Just start with what you have. Then you grow upon it. You build upon it. Just know how to manage finances. It's not like you start with what you have. Then when the money comes, you go and spend it.
Exactly.
You plow back into the business, like as capital again, and just grow it as it goes. So start with what you have. Basically, there's no fixed amount for, okay, I want to do photography. Okay, you need 20,000. You can have a budget, but you can just start with what you have and just build from there, basically.
Yes, I think he has really given us a major point concerning that. Start with what you have. It's never too small with how much you want to start with, because it may shock you that it's really the smallest amounts that you may start with that will tackle the majority of the expenses that you need from the initial stage. Then you grow with that, and then you can have your economies of scale to a certain extent at which you want it to be. So the third question is, how much do I need for a service running business? Someone is also asking.
This is what I like. This is what I like.
Yes.
This is what I like.
Service running business is very tricky because it's about the scale. You're not going to buy goods to put in your shop to find an amount of saying, I need to buy X amount of goods at X amount of price. So this is how much I'm going to need. It's about the service.
I mean, this is my field. So I like. I like this.
Exactly.
So basically, you don't need. When it comes to service, I don't think you need that much money. So that's what I even advise everybody to do. Normally, people ask me, hey, I want to start a business, but I don't have enough capital. I don't have enough money to start a business. This is why I say, start with a service. A service, you don't need that much money to do it. Start with a service, get money from that service, then use that service to go into, if you want to go into goods or like a product or something, you can use the money from the service and use to buy that thing. Because normally people, oh, I don't have enough money to do this, I don't have enough money to do that. For services, you really don't, the service is you, basically.
Yeah.
If you're a graphic designer, everybody probably has a laptop, so you can just install whatever app or whatever software you use to do your graphic design, and you don't really need that much money. You can just be in your room, you have your small laptop or big laptop or whatever it is, give the service out and just get money from it. But the thing about services, the reason why it's tricky is because there's the variable cost. I don't think there's no really any variable cost.
Yes, you can't really quantify it because in relation to being a scale, that is why it's quite difficult to quantify how much you need for a service running business, because you are the one that will actually exhibit that scale. You cannot place scale, or you can't place value on the scale unless you have, at your own discretion, place that value on it. So he may say his scale is worth this amount. I may say my scale is worth this amount. So for the service industry, which is the most unrisky industry, it has its own ways, but you cannot attribute its ways to that of goods and services, because if you have goods in your shop and people are not buying, at a point in time, these goods are going to deteriorate or expire. But you do not talk about expiration when it comes to scale. So scale is very, very key, and also has its own positive part in as much as you can't really quantify it. You can also say it's quite
let me add this one. So the thing about service is that service doesn't have any value. You get it? He has an accounting firm. He can come and do accounting for you or keep your books for free, or he can charge you. So normally what happens is the amount of the value you put on a service is what people will purchase it for. So service itself has no value. So the amount of, if I say, okay, like he was saying, my service is worth 10,000 Ghana cedis, someone can do the same thing for 2,000 Ghana cedis. It's just about the amount of value you place on the service. That's what people buy it for. Yeah, basically. So
yeah, thank you so much, Saul, for that point. I think we're going to move to the next question. So the next question says, what about microfinance firms in relation to capital acquisition? Someone says, in relation to attaining capital, can we go to the microfinance firms as well? Do we always need to go to the banks or venture capital? Apart from the family and friends, can we also go to microfinance to also attain capital? That is what somebody is saying. I think it's also a good point. The microfinance, I wouldn't say it's like the venture capital, but they will also expect you to come prepared. They will expect you to come with documents and stuff. It's not really far off from the financial institution, but they will be more lenient as in relation to seeing an SME starting up as compared to a bank, because they know that with the SMEs they don't really have anything to start up with, so they will realistically accept you more in relation to attaining capital than the bank. So I wouldn't discourage anyone who might think that I might want to go to microfinance to actually attain the capital to start my business. But It's also a good option.
In terms of that, I think the amount of money you are going to take as a loan also has a part to play. I don't think microfinances can give you a certain amount of loan.
Yes, that's what I'm saying in relation to the SME. It depends on the scale of the business. If you want to start small, then the microfinance will be the best option, which I will advise. Everybody starts small. I know as an entrepreneur, you may have big dreams and visions as to where you want to see yourself, but try as much as possible not to rush in the things you want to do and how far you want to go. You have to know that great things take time, and also depending on the service that you are in or depending on the industry that you are in, it's really key that you really take your time. And also decision making at the initial stage is very, very key. That is why all these things, when it comes to capital, when it comes to loans, when it comes to attaining funds, is very, very important. Don't rush when you're looking for a capital to start your business. Always make sure you take your time and know what you want, and whichever way that you take it, think about the implications that may come with it. The ones that come with interest. How much interest am I going to come back and pay? Can I actually pay this amount of time, within this amount of time, or this particular amount? If there's also an interest component, how much is it going to affect me and my business at a point where I have to repay back? These are all the things that you need to reconsider in the aspect of attaining business capital. So that talks about that, but that is the answer to the question in relation to microfinance. The last question in relation for episode 1 under business capital is it really fair for a friend or a family to ask for a repayment with interest? So, is it fair? If you ask your mom for money for capital and she says, "Oh, I'm going to give you back," you have to pay back with interest. How are you going to take it? It's quite tricky. I mean,
whether family members should take interest.
Yes. Would you be okay, or you just see that no? I mean, this is why you are my mom. This is why you are my uncle. This is why we are related. This is why we are friends. I mean, probably you might have to.
I think it depends on the person
or the relationship.
Yeah, or the relationship, because there are some people who are really business oriented. So if they give you money,
they expect the money back for them.
And maybe they also feel that because if you are a friend and I'm giving you 10,000 cedis, and say you pay back in a year.
Yes.
In a year, that 10,000 cedis, the value would
not be the same. Discount.
Discounted. The value will come down.
Yes.
The things that 10,000 can buy it now,
it will not be able to buy it next year.
So for me, it might make sense that way. But all those things, I think it depends on how you talk to the person
and who the
person is.
Yeah.
But I can say whether it's good or bad, because if I'm put in the same situation, I don't know whether
you might be able to.
Yeah, if maybe in the near future my son comes for a loan, maybe I'll probably ask for interest. Yeah.
You probably ask for interest.
Yeah, because I feel like so that you understand that, because maybe what happens is you get used to it.
Yes.
And you get used to not taking loans and not paying interest on it.
Yes.
Then one day you go to the bank because maybe the loan you want, someone can give it to you.
Yes.
Then they give you interest. Then it hits you like, okay,
wow, this is the real deal. This is what actually happens.
Your profit, maybe you've calculated the profit, but because normally you don't calculate interest on the loan,
you will suck up a portion of the profit.
And you realize that so I think maybe if me personally, I think even in your mind, you should make if the person doesn't even ask for interest, you should make provision for it.
Yeah.
In there, so that when you go to a different place and go and ask for a loan and they give you interest, it won't hit you like, wow, I have to pay interest.
Yes.
You get me? So at least you have the realistic value of everything. Because sometimes people just leave little things out of certain things. Like for example, if maybe you work here and every day someone takes a friend is going towards like castle and takes you, and you drop, and you don't pay for a certain Trotsky fare.
Yes.
Normally we don't calculate
that component of that cost.
But
it's actually supposed to be so.
Yes. So if the person travels abroad for a month, you realize that my money is short, or my money is not enough. It's because we normally don't make use like we forget the free things, we term them as free.
Yes.
But as a business, you have to, even if it's free, you still
have to allocate that cost.
You have to allocate cost for it
because it's been incurred. That's why the fact that it's paid for or not.
Yes. So I think that's what people do. But me personally, if the person is not even taking interest, put make that in your finances, put it there.
Yes.
Yeah, because otherwise you be there and you go and take a loan, then
yes,
they'll charge you interest, then your profit will drop like by 20%. You'll be like, hey, what happened?
You really don't understand how and why this happened. Let me buttress the points of my colleague here concerning whether it's fair or not, whether a repayment should be attributed with interest. It has its pros and cons, guys. Just make sure you don't have that assumption all the time that, hey, so long as I know him, so long as he's my friend, he's not supposed to attain interest. Because what my colleague actually said is, the value as what he will give you will probably not be the same at the end of the period at which you're making the repayment. So it may actually contradict to the fact that as a human factor, he's supposed to overlook the interest payment. What I will say, or the advice I will say, if anyone ever gives you a capital and the person doesn't demand interest, whenever there's time for repayment or whenever you are repaying the person, make sure you add a little bit at your own discretion, just in the way of saying thank you or just a way of appreciating what the person did for you. Because as a matter of fact, it's not everybody that can be able to come to you and support you and believe in what you want to do and actually give you the capital. So in as much as the person may not ask you for an interest, it's advisable, or it's a human factor to actually show appreciation, be it a small amount or a big amount, depending on the strength at which you can do that. So I will advise that I won't say it's not fair and I won't say it's fair. If you look at both sides, actually, it's quite balanced. So I will advise that whoever attains capital from a close person without interest, when you are repaying, make sure you add something as a way of showing appreciation. So next time when the person wants to help you, the person will actually believe more in what you do, and going forward, it will actually go a long way to help you in every aspect of whatever you want to do. So I will not try and say it is not fair. I mean, I'll understand why somebody would like to add interest to it. Like he said, he may actually charge his son interest when he comes asking. So if even him, the business mogul, will do that, how much more some of us? So let's leave it that way. It's quite balanced looking at this sensitive issue concerning interest rate. So on that note, I'm going to move straight to episode 2 and deal with a few questions concerning that we got from the viewers. Episode 2 was about bookkeeping and how to manage accounting information in businesses. Most people have problems in presenting or understanding how their business works from a financial perspective. So we went ahead to shoot an episode for bookkeeping, where we gave just a basic understanding of how you can record your accounting information or basic financial records for your own understanding and probably for somebody who also comes and picks up your book. We said I advise that we do it. It can be done on the weekly basis, on the monthly basis. Just allocate or accrue, just sum up every sale in your business, write it in a book every time, just a short book, a simple book, just as simple as you can understand it. You don't need to make it as complicated for someone to also take one day to actually look through. You can just get a book and just sum up every sale that you make, as well as every expense periodically. At the end of the day, whichever difference that you make from both the sale and expense will probably be your profit or your loss. And it's very, very key for every business person to also record all these information in relation to accounts. So I will take a few questions with that. I also said you can actually hire a bookkeeper or an accountant if you feel like probably you may not have the time or you may not be available to do that. So the first question in relation to episode 2, someone asked, what accounting software is easiest and most user-friendly? So will you take this one?
Yeah, I'm not. Nobody's paying. Accounting software is paying me to make ads for them. So
yeah.
But okay, let me see. Because I know two. I've learned how to use 2 accounting softwares. I'm not going to Charlie. I'm not. If you come MP, I'll do it. The first accounting software that pays for that sponsors our program. That's the answer. So.
Guys, let me tackle this question. Accounting software, I will not really say there's one that's the easiest or the most user-friendly, but I will say from my experience, the one that I think personally, per my own opinion, I will say is the QuickBooks. QuickBooks is very user-friendly. You just have to go through a few tutorials and I think you'll be able to enter the transactions yourself. There's Sage, there's QuickBooks, there's many other accounting softwares. There's Tally. Yeah, Tally is also not bad, but I will personally suggest QuickBooks to you as it being the most user-friendly. Someone might say it might be different, but I'm talking from experience. I've been using QuickBooks for over 4 years now, and anybody I try teaching QuickBooks, the person doesn't necessarily have to be an accounting student. The person can go ahead and make entries and generate reports for interpretation when it comes to accounting. So I would personally say
you take QuickBooks, okay? Because I learned Tally and Sage.
Yes, I have a fair idea of Tally and how it works, but I actually haven't used it in my world of work before, so I wouldn't stand here and say
Tally. I'm more of a Sage person.
He is more of a Sage person.
I like
is Sage user friendly?
But yeah. As long as you understand what you're doing. Yeah.
Will someone who doesn't have an accounting background be able to use Tally?
Tally, oh yeah, I think maybe to an extent Sage is a bit more complicated.
I think Sage is quite
yeah, but I think they've brought some new ones out which are less complicated.
Yes.
Yeah, so they just being innovative. But as I said, I won't.
He is being quite sided on this one, so I wouldn't say concerning that. He wants to make money with relation to the accounting software. So if you have anyone who wants to buy an accounting software, my brother here, Dan Sewa, will be available. So you can drop your contact, or you can drop your demand.
Or QuickBooks should come and sponsor. QuickBooks should come and sponsor, or Sage.
QuickBooks or Sage. So whoever needs an accounting software, you can contact the CEO project to also attain your accounting software. The second question is, can I record on a monthly basis only? Can someone record on a monthly basis only?
Nah, okay. This question is some way.
It's quite. Yeah. I won't say only on a monthly basis. I said in my episode previously that it depends on how you want to see your business. Some people want to see it on a weekly basis. Some might probably want to see it on a daily basis, depending on the kind of business that is being run.
Yeah, I think. But personally, I think you should record it on a daily basis.
Yes.
You can
the bookkeeping is going to be daily.
Yeah.
Our advice is going to be daily, but the accounting record information, that is where you can probably make it weekly or monthly. Yeah, but in regards to you recording your sales and your expenses, it has to be every day. Because it might surprise you that you might have incurred a particular expense, let's say transport, and you probably say to yourself, oh, on Tuesday I took this car for probably 20 cedis. Probably next week Tuesday you might try to record all the expenses, and you might probably leave out that expense just because you assume that you remember at the time of accountability. So it's always advisable that every day make sure you record every single expense you incur and every sale that you earn or you make at every point in time, to make sure that no expense avoids you, or you take note of every money that comes in and goes out. Yep. The third question is, what about items that I don't have receipts for? How can I account for them?
You write them down.
It's that simple. I mean, if you don't have receipts for some expenses that you incur, it's the same thing as you recording them. So that's why the fact that you might not have a receipt for probably a drop-in or a taxi or a bus fare, you will still have to record it, because at the end of the day, if that expense or if that activity was led to in the direction of the business, or I can say a business expense, you will still have to record it. That's why the fact that you might have a receipt about for it or not. Yeah. Most of the minor ones, people say they allocate petty cash in the business. We'll talk about petty cash later on financial tips. Petty cash is the small money that's allocated in the business to cover miniature and minor expenses, where it's reimbursed at the end of every month to sort out monies that can't just be taken out on a regular basis just because it has been incurred. That is why a small float or a small reimbursement amount is always placed at the side to cover for all these minor expenses. So, like I said, you have to also record every single expense, be it having a receipt or not. So, on that note, I'll tackle last but not the least question on episode 2, which says, can I do my own bookkeeping without necessarily having an accountant?
Oh yeah, I think.
Yeah, most of them.
Maybe he won't agree because he has an accounting firm.
Well, it depends, but I will advise you to. If you need an accountant, I wouldn't stop you from going to have an accountant.
You should be able to do. I think to a certain extent, every entrepreneur should know like some financial stuff.
Yes.
And you should be able to know the fundamentals of bookkeeping.
Yeah.
So that even when you hire an accountant, when he's stealing your money, you would actually notice that he's stealing your money. Because what happens most of the time is that people have no idea and go and hire an accountant, and you don't even know how much money you are making. You should be able to, at least maybe for the beginning. Even another thing is to save costs. To save costs for the beginning, you have to even do your own bookkeeping. Yeah, you have friends. I'm sure at least you should have a friend who knows accounting, who should give you tips and all those things. And as he's saying, for the beginners, just like 2 books, like income and expenses. So,
basic.
Yeah, just
very basic.
Every income you write it down, every expense you write it down. At the end, you total, you get your profit or your loss. Simple, something like that.
Very basic.
Then as time goes on, the more the company expands and becomes bigger, then you can say, okay, I'll get an accountant or what, like whoever, or I'll get a software, an accounting software. And the good thing about you keeping your own books is that after if the company is growing, you can actually get a software and just, since you are good at bookkeeping, just do some few tutorials and you know how to use the accounting software. Because I'm just showing you how to save money, how to do lean accounting.
Yes, it's all about business. It's all about cost saving when it comes to all these things. So it all comes down at your own discretion. If you really think you don't need an accountant, you really don't need an accountant. Because if you believe that bookkeeping is something that you can abreast yourself with how to do it and how to interpret it, then fine, you can start your small scale business without having an accountant with you. Also, if you get an accountant, I will not advise you to leave every aspect of your finance to the accountant, because that way the accountant will not feel burdened or you will not feel accountable to every expense. That probably comes down to the fact that he will probably make you overlook some things, and then cheating aspect will come in. So every entrepreneur must be involved in his or her financial aspect of his or her business at every juncture and at every point in time, so that way you know really how well your money is working for you and how it's not. So no accountant can come and flow you with a lot of terms and definitions, and it can be very misleading. Accounting can be quite technical in a way, so if you don't really have the basic understanding, even from a layman's point of view, people can misinterpret such information for you. You might actually probably be making a loss, but he can actually change things for it to look like you're making a profit. So sometimes you also have to get involved in how really things work, because actually what probably comes out as the final information may not probably or 100% be so.
You don't want creative accounting to take.
Creative accounting, that is what we do. Just orchestrate some numbers for you to just feel like, oh, my business is working, but probably that's not how it might actually be. So you always make it a point to involve yourself in every aspect of the financial business or financial information in your business. The last episode, which was last week, the topic I dealt with was minimizing and controlling business expenses. Many people have problems of controlling expenses when it comes to their business, where they're actually doing well or they're actually in operations. But at the end of the day, when it comes down and he or she asks myself, what about the profit I made? Then you realize that the profit is so small. If you do your bookkeeping, you notice that most of your expenses are sucking up majority of your sales or your revenue, and that is a big hurdle that most entrepreneurs probably face. So we decided to take episode 3 to talk about business expense minimization and control. I spoke about the fact that as a business owner, try and separate your personal expenses from the business expense, because it may surprise you that whatever you do personally that may not be in relation to a business adds up to that expense, which probably shouldn't be, and also goes ahead and reduces the company profit. The second thing I spoke about was to record your business expense on a regular basis, be it big or small. So all that also comes down to how you record how you do your bookkeeping in your business. So we spoke about it in episode 2, that do your regular bookkeeping. And thirdly, your cost minimization will help you through the bookkeeping to track some of the expenses that probably add up or suck up majority of the profit. All these things go ahead to fluctuate or increase the size of your expenses in your business. So we had there were many other ways of minimizing control, which I know you can go and check on episode 3 of Financial Tips, where you have more insights. So those who actually checked out Financial Tips episode 3 and had a few issues or few questions in relation to that, gave a few opinions and questions, and I wanted to address just a few of them. So the first question in relation to episode 3 under cost minimization and control is 1. Controlling expenses in my business is a very big deal. What do I do about the minor expenses that are difficult to control? What can you do about the minor expenses in your business that are difficult to control?
The fact that whoever asked the question, if you If the person could be more
you see,
precise
this question is very vague because we don't know the kind of business that you're running. So we don't want to give you an answer that might digress from the fact or digress from the solution that we are actually supposed to give you. When you say controlling business expenses, which are minor, what you may call minor expense may probably not be minor to another person. So I wish that we had an in-depth information concerning that.
Let me say.
But we probably can bring it down to scale realistically. How you call it minor?
I think minor expenses have to do with if I'm getting him right, maybe there are some petty expenses that the money is passing.
That is why I think
you don't see.
That is why
it passes.
Yeah.
I think discipline is one.
Yes.
How to cut it down. You have to be disciplined about some things because sometimes it gets into your head that you have 500 CDs in your pocket.
Yeah.
Then you take 20 CDs and do this and do that, and by the time you realize you're taking 20. If you take 20 out 5 times, that's 100 CDs.
Yes.
But because you're taking out 20,
you
10,
will not really
10,
see.
you not really see
the
that
effect of what you're doing.
I've spent this one on this and this one on this.
Yeah.
And maybe some other expenses are there. You just have to know how to look for alternatives. For example, eating. I've realized that most entrepreneurs I meet who are actually established, they actually have their own lunch pack they bring from their house.
Yes.
They don't spend money on food.
People have strong ways of controlling their expenses when it comes to business, especially in food. They don't try and use company money to go to lunch and all those things. So some entrepreneurs are really disciplined, especially when it comes to lunch and all those minor expenses.
Because I think that's one of the things that takes money. Let's say, for example, if your lunch is even 20 cedis a day, times 5, that's like 100 cedis.
Yes.
That's 400 cedis
a month.
A month. That's more than the minimum wage for Ghana.
Yes.
In a month.
So on a normal day, that 400 cedis should not be part of the business expense. So if you actually include that in your business expense, probably, let's say, company money that you took from the bank or you have in your coffers and you just say, let me just take this small amount of money to buy food. If you don't have that mindset of replacing that money, because I know that money didn't belong to you. So long, except the fact that you are paying yourself salary as a business owner, that money will not be attributable for the business. If you are paying yourself salary, that will be a payroll expense and that will be for the business. So it goes a long way to know how well or know how much of a cost you are using personally as in contrast to the business expense. So it's very, very key knowing your minor expenses. So all these things, lunch, probably transport, probably credit, all these minor things, if you know you're using it personally to control, make sure you are aware. That's why it comes down to the fact that you said it comes down to discipline. So discipline is a very, very key aspect of controlling minor expenses. But if probably the big expenses, you can easily control them because the amount already will not really be of encouragement for you to spend yourself. But actually the minor things that eats up or sucks up into the major expense and it becomes a major hurdle to jump in your business. So I think it comes down to the fact that it's about the discipline and the knowledge, which comes down also to bookkeeping and also recording every aspect of your financial information. So you see, all these things come together, they intertwine and they work as a whole. That is why we are taking financial tips from the onset to go to see how well you can manage your business from an entrepreneurship point of view. But I don't want people out there to think financial tips is all about entrepreneurship. We are also going to have episodes where we are talking about general finance information, be it an entrepreneur or not, how to manage money, investments you can undergo. Lately we've had this men's gold saga, so people are actually really having trust issues about where to put their money. All these things, financial tips, will be taking them along the way to actually advise people that they are actually realistic and fair ways of making money with interest, depending on whichever market, whichever forex, whichever investment package you might put your money in. So don't have so much trust issues. I know right now people's money have been locked somewhere, some hundreds of cedis, thousands. I mean, it's become a whole fiasco in the country right now. It's a major trend that's going on. So I'll advise people who watch financial tips that it's not just going to be about being an entrepreneur and how to manage your business. Even individuals like you and I can also try and manage our finances personally. So financial tips will go ahead to talk about all these things. So watch out for future episodes of financial tips. The second question in relation to episode 3 is I have a major problem with controlling my electricity in my office. What can I do to reduce the cost? Electricity. It's a big aspect in every business, because how you use your electricity varies all across. He may have his own, his office may incur probably a low amount of electricity depending on what he uses. My office will probably not be the same. So it all comes down to the conservative practices or the conservation practices that you actually employ in your business. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think maybe cutting down electricity. Sometimes the little things like your phone is 100% and you're still charging it.
Exactly.
Nobody's in the room, but the fan is
on. The laptop
you're
is
going
on.
for lunch, but you have left your AC on, so that when you come back, the room will be chilled.
Yes.
All those little things have an effect on like the amount of electricity you pay.
Yeah.
So it all comes to like details, like little details of okay, because if you are working with someone can be if you are the owner of the business, you have to be extra vigilant and check. Okay, is the plug off? You're not using that laptop. The laptop is 100%. It's okay. You stop charging it.
Yeah.
The desktop, put that desktop up, put that fan off. Those little things.
Yeah.
You have to actually be more vigilant in looking at those things so that you if it's your own self, then you have to check your own self too.
Yes.
Because you can easily leave your desktop on and go outside, or leave your fan on and go outside.
Yeah.
Get a call. You see, you get a call right now. There's Vodafone X and all that.
Yes.
You get a call. You go outside and the fan is on, and 1 eye you're still on the phone.
Yes.
And nobody's inside the room, and so all those little things count.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like we said, the previous question you spoke about minor expenses. Electricity also comes down to discipline and how well you do your conservation practices and how principled you are when it comes to managing electricity. So, whoever sent the question in relation to electricity and how to reduce it, we will say that it comes down to how well you also have your conservation practices in place. Make sure you don't leave your fan on when you are not around, your AC, your light, whatever, all the minor things that suck up the electricity if it becomes a major problem for you, because the only way electricity is incurred is if goods and if appliances are working. So you also have to come down to ask yourself, how often do I use my appliances, and if so, how well can I go a long way to control these appliances when it comes to my electricity. So that is what I'll say. It comes down to conservation. I hope that answers your question. Last but not the least question on our last episode, or the episode 3 that we released last week, is if I have a business opportunity if I use a business property, for my own personal use as well as for the business, how can I separate that component that I personally incurred as the owner? Let me say it again. If I use a business property for my own personal use as well as for the business, how can I separate that component that I personally incurred as the owner? So it's so tricky. That is the problem when you try and mix your personal interest to that of the business.
Yeah.
Because you know that whatever property you have, if you have this laptop, if you have this internet broadband modem, if you have this fan or air conditioner, all these things, it was solely for the business. But it's quite inevitable as a business owner to say you are totally going to use this particular product or this particular appliance for the business. So we have to be realistic about the fact that it quite happens. We have to be very realistic that it's possible you can use that good or appliance for your own personal use. Let's say your phone. You may have your own phone that you use for business calls, but one day you might decide to make calls to your friend, just a normal random call that will not be in relation to the business. So that is what I'm sure one of the viewers was referring to, that how well can we separate it? It's quite tricky. It depends on what you are referring to. Some of the questions it requires more detail for us to actually answer them, because whatever we say, we know we are going back to your business to apply it. So we are quite sensitive and we are quite prudent on whatever we give you out there, so that when you go back to your business, it goes back and it becomes positive. Make sure, what I will say concerning the separation, if it's quantifiable, let's say credit, you had 10 series of credit before you made it for your own personal call. If you're able to do that and you check the difference on how much you pay for the personal call, then you can quantify it. But the ones that you feel like it's different to quantify, what I will advise is, on a realistic basis, just split the cost. Just split the cost between the business and that of the personal expense, because it's the best way. And also, it all comes down to your discretion. If you feel like you use it personally more than in the interest of the business, then you should advise yourself to pay it personally yourself more than the business incurring that cost. So I'll say it's two things: the quantifiable ones and the non-quantifiable ones. Let's say internet bundle, you can't really quantify it whilst you are using it, but do you know how much of it that you use personally or not? So when it comes down to the internet bundle that you have in your business, you can then allocate it to the personal aspect. If you use it personally more, you have to pay it personally. Don't use the business revenue or the business cash to do that. And if it was the business that did more, then use the business money to then offset that cost. If you don't have an idea of whether it was your personal expense more or the business expense more, you just split it into two, and then that will go. If you have values to do the quantifying, if you have values to do the separation, then just go ahead and use that to do your allocation for who is supposed to pay you, whether it's the business owner or is the business itself. So
oh no, senior accountant. Yeah, right now. You know me, I ran away from accountants more.
Oh, come on. He's a senior movie.
And I went to management. I went into management. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Like perfectly. If it's quantifiable, you should actually know how much is going into this and is going into that. If it's not quantifiable, splitting it both ways. Yeah, that makes I'm actually learning that. You know,
we are both learning, but I'm learning more than he's learning.
I get that. That's true. Like you can split it both ways and just But just try. I think the best thing is try as much as possible not to use personal things for business, not to use business things.
Yes.
You know, there's a term in accounting called drawings, like when you use. But just try to make it as less as possible.
Yes.
Because it helps out a lot. Otherwise, by the time you end, you won't actually know whether your business is profitable or not.
Yes.
Your business can be, let's say, maybe at the end, it will look like you're making a loss. But maybe just because when the money comes, you use more for personal things.
Yeah.
Then you don't also account for it. So that's why it looks like your business is making a loss.
Yeah.
So to know the actual state of your business, just try as much as possible to distinguish between the two.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think there are some other things too. You just have to make your mind that you're giving it wholly for the business.
Yes.
Probably. Like if you have a car, you're full every day in and out.
Yeah.
In and out, like from work.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just say, okay, you have given the car is a company car.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe that you use on Sundays and Saturdays or something like that.
Yeah.
And even Sundays and Saturdays can quantify maybe to some extent the petrol you buy inside.
Yes.
But you're in and out from, I think you can just understand and say, oh, okay, this car is now a business car that I use for business rounds and all those things. Maybe later on when you get money, or you can just go and get another car that you put down and use one for your business so that you see the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically.
Thank you so much, Sewa, for this mind-blowing session. All in all, we have come to the end of the podcast sessions. We have addressed a whole lot of concerns and issues in relation to our first 3 episodes of Financial Tips. I want to thank everyone for watching this session, or you can say this episode is a special episode or a special edition of Financial Tips, and we think it's fair that in as much as we are giving information out there, the viewers also have the right to also come back and also have a review of whatever they say. Like we always say, drop your comments, drop your suggestions, drop your questions under every video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow our Facebook page to keep updated on every single episode that we drop every week. Financial Tips, let me say, it's an initiative that we've brought on board that is going to be there to stay. Financial Tips is to help entrepreneurs and the youth, even individuals out there, when it comes to managing of their finances, be it business, be it personal. Because as young people as we are, the youth especially, when it comes to money management, when it comes to actually handling things in terms of finance, people have huge problems when it comes to that. We even have learned people out there when it comes to managing, when it comes to actually using financial resources to the best of their ability, it becomes a problem. That is why Financial Tips is out there for you now. So make sure you always watch Financial Tips every Monday. And I'm going to make you aware that Financial Tips is going to get better and better. There are going to be new editions. There are going to be people coming in on some episodes. There's going to be a new experience in relation to Financial Tips. So don't make your mind that you are going to watch Financial Tips and go away. Make sure you stick and stay, because it's just going to get better. Subscribe is really, really key. That is what I was saying. So on this note, I would like to thank everyone for watching this special edition and this podcast session. So thank you so much for joining me on Financial Tips.
Next month.
This is not going to be the last time you're going to see him. He's the mastermind and the brain behind all this initiative. And we will not be doing this without his brilliant idea. So I would like to give credit when it's due. Please.
Shout out to Omari.
Shout out to Omari.
for the video.
Yeah, we need to give credits where it's due. The camera guys, the editing. I mean, it's just the whole team. When I stand here,
Matic Studios, shout out to Matic Studios.
When I'm standing here giving you all the information of Financial Tips, I don't want you to sit down and think that it's just me. It's a whole team. So I think I need to give credits to everyone. Kamuna Omari is a really good guy. I mean, if you have any problem with video editing and all that, I mean, just contact Financial Tips. I mean, this is just the beginning of something going to happen. So just make sure you stick and stay, and everything will be in an economy that we are in. I mean, managing your finances is very key to wealth accumulation and how successful you will be in life. So we have this initiative in place to make sure that people actually enjoy whatever they are doing and to do it to the best of their ability. So thank you very much for watching Financial Tips. It's been a podcast session. Make sure you tune in next Monday for the other episodes of Financial Tips, where we deal in more topics in relation to finance. And trust me, you wouldn't be bored or you wouldn't have any discouragement anytime you watch Financial Tips. So on that note, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you.